First and foremost, yesterday, your thoughts and comments as to the celebration of my birthday were so important. And I received the greatest message ever. The greatest message ever. And it was someone who told me, thank you for teaching me how to think. And I almost cried. I said, that is exactly it. That is exactly what I want to do. Not, thank you for telling me about this. Thank you for teaching me. No. Thank you for teaching me how to think. It's the most important. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. We live in a world today where everybody wants to just be given this information or to just be told something so that maybe they can brag about it, I guess. Do you know the other day there was this thing called National Radio Day or National Day of Radio or something like that? And these poor, pathetic people were spending all of their days, all of their time, just putting up these pictures of when they were in their radio station, when they were young and they were relevant. It was so sad. When they mattered. Look, here's my ID. Look, this is my pass. This is my pass that I use to get into crime scene. Look, here I am. Look, I'm at the board. Look, I was something then. See? What's that about? Look what I'm doing. See, I was some. I this week was, the 25th, I believe. This week it was Regis Philbins' birthday. His is always the day before mine. And I didn't put a picture of Regis Philbin and me together because we were buddies. I thought, I hate that. I'll do it later on. Because what people want to do is they always want to tell you, look at me. Look at what I'm doing. See, I'm something. Oh, my God. I was watching an interview with Ray Kurzweil about AI and AGI and about human intelligence and what intelligence means and why that's important. And they said, the hardest part is, how do you define human wiring that allows you to learn something? Then I thought to myself, who's learning anything? Who learns? Who spends time learning anything? YouTube. Say what you want about whatever it is, and believe me, they could do a lot, as far as I'm concerned, to perhaps maybe expand upon those particular areas covered. But that being said, it is still the best, the absolute best place and source to learn anything. I was listening today to earlier this morning to a lecture on this General Lucian Prescott. I never heard of him. What a monster. What an animal. What a great, oh my God. He gave a speech celebrating, I think it was it Anzio or his men that lost? And he turned his back on the dignitaries and he pointed and he talked to the graves and said, I'm sorry. I did this. If I did anything to, it was incredible. I didn't know that. Who are the generals today? Who are our great generals? Do we have generals? Do we have great generals? How many generals of the army? People say 4-star general. That's a general. General, lieutenant, major, brigadier. But how many generals are there? How many 4 stars? There's no 5-star, 4-star. And I remember listening to Douglas McGregor, and he said, and please, I don't know if if there's 40 or 400, I don't know whatever the number is in the military. During World War II, when we had millions, 1.5, whatever million active military, there were like 4 4-star generals. 4! Now, What did I just tell you? I told you information that I learned on my own. I didn't get it watching Fox News. Ainsley Earhardt didn't teach me this. Hannity didn't teach me this. Newsmax didn't teach me this. Nobody brought this up. I learned it on my own. And you know why? Because I love to learn it. And YouTube has it. With all due respect to Rumble and all due respect to BitChute and all these other people, God bless them. There's this one thing and one thing only. It's usually politics from a particular point of view. It's good. It's wonderful. But it validates and affirms that which you already believe. And it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to believe me. There's plenty of room for all this stuff. But there is absolutely no interest on the part of people to learn on their own, to sit there and say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to learn something today. I'm going to spend my time actually learning something. Let me stop for 1 second and ask you, please subscribe to this channel. You know that. That's critical. That is just absolutely critical. You have to like the videos, you have to subscribe to the channel. You got to be hitting that little bell so you're notified of new videos. And I have heard more people say, thank you for turning me on to preparewithlionel.com. I had no idea about emergency food. I didn't know it was out there. I didn't know. I didn't know what it meant. I mean, I heard about it. I heard there were people who, I have no idea. Go to preparewithlionel.com. That's all I'm saying. Save $200 on a 3-month supply. If there is one thing that you know, that if we look out on the horizon, there are so many terrible things happening, and they're coming this way. It's like the locusts are coming. It's like watching. I was watching a thing last night on volcanoes, to seeing this pyroclastic dust. This that goes. You know how fast it works? 100 miles an hour. When a volcano blows and it comes at you, it's 100 miles an hour. That's what I'm seeing right now, and that's what you're seeing. You are going to be in a position one day where you're going to say, I went to preparewithlionel.com. I have our food. We're ready to go. And I'm not in a sense of, oh my God. That sense of panic when you look at your family and you're saying, the stores are closed, or there's not enough, or there's who knows why. Trucking strikes, supply chain breakdowns, malware, ransomware, shutting down fuel, gas stations, delivery system, ports, fires. Did you ever remember more fires? Preparewithlionel.com. You're smart. You don't need me to force that. If you don't prepare now, you were warned. Preparewithlionel.com. I am a Trump supporter. And it's not why you think. It's not about loving Trump. It's not about thinking he's groovy, liking him. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with it. It's a cause. I just did a piece for the private channel, Lionel Media. And tomorrow is the 60th anniversary, I believe, of the I Have a Dream speech. And it started, the genesis of this started here in New York, uptown. I think it was in Harlem, in this one office building. And it was a merging of the big six: CORE, Urban League, NAACP, SCLC, something else. And there was Dr. King and blah, blah, blah. 250,000 people. Do you think we would have had that today? Do you think we would have 250,000 people today? Do you think anybody would show up today? Do you think 250,000 people today would show up? Do you think? Can we get 250? First of all, I'm telling you right now, I am not going to go anywhere near anything in Washington. They made their point. Don't think for a moment that wasn't the purpose of this. They want you to understand if you go to Washington and somebody somewhere in some group does something which causes the powers that be to view and to consider what you are doing as rebellious, insurrectionist, whatever, you're doomed. Do you understand that? You're doomed. I'm not going anywhere near that. Never, ever. I know exactly what they're going to do. You're going to go there and they're going to track phones, and then you're going to say, wait, but I wasn't a part. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's the point of that. Remember that. Remember this. The purpose is not just to stop rebellion and insurrection. You can't rebel against the United States. You can't. It's just too big. That's like me threatening Mike Tyson. It's just, I mean, I mean, not with a gun or something, but if I say, hey, Mike, come on, seriously, I'm gonna knock the hell out. No. It's like the old assault version with the apparent ability to do so. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. Listen. I want you to think about this. But there was a time 60 years ago tomorrow, and people didn't go because they might have liked Dr. King. They might have thought it, but that wasn't why they were there. It wasn't because of a cult of personality. They weren't there because of Dr. King. That's not, I mean, he was, yeah, certainly he was a leader, but it was the cause. What is your cause? There are too many people right now whose cause is a love of Donald Trump. They love Donald Trump. They're in love with him. They're in love with him. I am a supporter of him. I'm not in love with him. He represents something which I want you to understand what they're doing. He was the president of the United States, and this is a soft coup against Article 2 jurisdiction. This is what they did to Nixon. This is part of it, yes, part of it because they hate him, part of it is out of some kind of a sadistic focus, but it is much bigger than this. Where do you go learn this? You have to read this yourself. As I was saying before, I was watching something about, it was Ray Kurzweil and somebody else, and they were saying, how do we teach computers how to think? How do we teach computers how to think? What is human thinking? What is learning? I'm saying you're asking the wrong country. Nobody's learning this. Nobody's learning. People are not interested in learning anything. They don't care about anything. Second point, if I want to go in and I want to take over a country, and you said, okay, I want to be the despotic ruler of this particular land. Okay, fine. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to deconstruct the information system. You're going to go out of your way to destroy information. I know what you're going to do. What I want to do is I want to kill their curiosity. I want them just not to care. I want them to be so worried about, let me tell you something. This week or last week or whatever, there was something called National Radio Day. It's the most pathetic thing you've ever seen in your life. It's these poor people in radio who are looking back at like the days of like, I remember my Model T. And there's pictures of them in a news in a radio station, and it's nice. And they've got their big Koss headphones on, and they always have this thing. And I don't have pictures. It was before, I guess, we had pictures of things. Now we chronicle everything. And when I looked at this, it was so sad. And you know what it was? It was like, look at me. I was important. Look, did you see me? Did you see my picture? Yes, I did. Did you see my picture? I was a disc jockey. Yes, I saw it. Yes, I was there too, and we worked together. Yes, but that didn't define my life. My whole thing was what I was doing. It was the information I was doing. It's not, that was the stage, so to speak. But that's when information became interesting. That's when Rush Limbaugh, bless his heart, really made information news, when it really took off. Let me say this again to you. When information and curiosity really took off, when people became, this is pre-social media, but people loved him. And they identified he did more to coalesce and to bring people about politically than anything else. Prior to that, there were movements. Dr. King, the March on Washington wasn't about politics as much as it was the cause. I was a part of the information revolution. I was there. I was on the air. It was the most exciting part. To other people who say, no, I was on the air. Yes, I know you were on the air. That's not, but what were you doing? I don't know. But it was me. Look at me. Okay. Have you noticed? Let me ask you this. Have you noticed there are wonderful, God bless them, podcasters? And I want you to think about a very, very, very simple question. Just tell me yes or no. Can you tell me the difference between somebody who's doing it for the information and somebody who's doing it for themselves? Give an example. Tucker Carlson, as he's a bombast, he's an egomaniac, he's an elitist, but I swear to God, he's doing it for the information. The information is secondary to him. It's not about Tucker Carlson. It's not about him. It's not about him. It's about the guest. As much, I mean, he is, remember, do not be, but I'm saying, it's look who I've got, or the information. Look what I'm doing. Look how I'm rattling the case. It's not about me. It's not Tucker Carlson's doing it. It's look at the information. Whether he has on Orban, or whether he has Colonel McGregor, or whatever it is. It's about them. It's about the information. It's not about me. There are other people, I'm not going to mention the names, but you know who I am. It's about them. There are people who are intellectually lazy, intellectually sated. There's no hunger. It's about them. It's about their egomaniacal sets and their big, thick ties and their self-referential egos. And yeah, it's the information, sort of, but not really. Not really. That's not really what it's about. And they spend more money on the set and the lighting and the logos and the water bottle with the logo on, that sort of thing. Can you tell the difference? I can. I've seen this a million times. Who are the people who are trying to give you the information? Who are the people who are there trying to say, okay, this is my setup in this one? There is a word. It seems scatological, but it's not. It's called full of it. We say it kind of rhymes with that. It's a family show. I have such an allergy for this. I can tell immediately who's full of it and who's not. I can tell immediately. I can tell immediately who's doing it for themselves. And I'm changing the subject a little bit. You have got to, please, as people, I'm begging you. This is not about me or Trump or anybody. It's about you, maybe for the first time in your life, saying, I'm going to master a new subject on my own. I've never done this before. I sit back and I let people come to me. They tell me what I need to know. I open up my sources. I watch Fox or Newsmax or whatever it is. And if they tell me that's the subject, that's the subject. Whatever it is. Hey, did Trump put Mar-a-Lago on the market? Did he transfer it to? That's not a story. That's not a story. That's a story, but that's unimportant. That's because somebody else said it, because somebody who was in a newsroom, who was a child, and by the way, you can be 80 years old and be a child, who has no fecundity, no fertile thoughts, doesn't really get it, but wants to just play the hits for you. Let me tell you, speaking of radio, in I'd say early 70s, believe it or not, before you realize this, FM radio really wasn't that big of it. I mean, it was around since the 20s, but nobody really, it couldn't sell it. I mean, it was AM. WABC, all that, the jingle, the jingle packages, the jingle. What is this? And that's the way people did it. Hey, everybody talk. Pukers talk like that. Carlin made fun of it. Hey, cousin Brucey here, and blah, blah, blah. Pukers. There's a guy on the 70s on Sirius who was just, oh my God, it's comical. The best radio voice and a man who was so brilliant is a fellow named Jeff Lawrence. You've heard him on everything. He one time read a menu in different voices, but he's brilliant and he knows how to work that thing. And this was radio then. But let me tell you what happened. Around 1970, all of a sudden we had things like college stations. In Tampa, we had WUSF, University of South Florida, the Underground Railroad. Oh, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. Brock Whaley, put on your Koss headphones. You could hear this train that went there. And they played not metal, but it was really interesting. People said, what's that? Top 40 people couldn't figure it out. Because there's this is before AOR. There was AC, Adult Contemporary, CHR, Contemporary Hit Radio. And then AOR is album-oriented rock. That's when that came along. And then you got into community stations. There's one in Tampa called WMNF, which is still a great. We had WQSR, 102.5, the best. Oh my God, you'd have Brian Auger, Big Bill Brunzi, and who knows, Joe Beam or something. It was just, they had nothing. They didn't care about labels. That's when it blew up. And none of these people, none of these cornball radio people had anything to do with it, saw what was happening, cared about it. They didn't. They were in back timing. Who talks like that? Okay. Then 1985, whatever it came, here comes Rush Limbaugh. And Rush Limbaugh did something that, for whatever it's worth, thanks to a fellow named John Manelli, and there was a fellow named Ed McLaughlin, who was the greatest guy, loved him. They created the Rush Limbaugh thing, WABC. He needed a local station. Manelli and others did it. And he was off to the races because he had something new and he made information great. It was fabulous. It was a revolution. So a lot of the radio people, the ones who did the 1250, what is that? Anyway, I still don't know what that is. They came along and said, hey, can I try this thing here where I can do a shift? What? I've been on radio for 25. Why do you talk like that? I don't know. I'm a puker. I talk like that. 12 after the hour. What are you doing? But I'm on radio. This isn't about radio. No, it's on radio. No, it's on radio, but you don't understand. This is an information revolution. You don't understand it. They still don't get it. Okay. They tried it and they died. Now here we are. This is an information revolution. And there is nothing that the shadow government wants to do more than to destroy it. But here's what I say. This is the angle they're missing. Don't worry about destroying. Don't worry about misinformation and disinformation and bad information. Don't worry about that. What you should worry about, or you should hope happens, is that the people continue to not care, to not learn. This is what you want. This is where we are. Nobody cares. They just think they know. They have absolutely nothing at all interested. They just sit back, and they have been so habituated by social media that if social media don't tell them what the news is, they won't care. They won't listen. They won't do anything. They know nothing. Do you hear what I'm telling you? They know nothing. They've got to be told. This is critical. I'm telling you, they will not go out of their way to learn anything. Nothing. You have got to devote yourself to this. After we're done today, you've got YouTube. You've got this. How many times have you heard us say, I'm going to learn about BRICS, BRICS? There is so much. Absorb it. Learn it. Be an autodidact, self-taught. Learn this. Fox isn't going to talk about it. Newsmax isn't going to talk about it. Nobody's going to talk about it. Look at what's happening in Africa right now. Now this isn't something that's just theoretical. This isn't like, well, they're having an interesting case in Cyprus. No. Not that Cyprus isn't important. This is transformational. This is everything. You think Vic Ramaswamy is going to talk about that? No. How do we deal with the rest of the world? Don't know. What happens? Why are we the hegemon? The who? Do you believe in a unipolar world? A who? Do you hear? Everybody's talking about Putin. Do you hear what Putin is saying? Do you hear what Xi Jinping is saying? Do you hear what MBS is saying? Did you hear what happened last week with the BRICS summit? Did you hear him? Everybody's got their idea. They think that Putin killed Prigozhin, right? That's what everybody's saying. Did you listen to what Putin said? No. Anybody report what he said? No. But don't you want to hear what he has to say? No. But he's your number one enemy. Yeah, I know. But we just want to hate him. We don't really want to listen to him. Well, do you know what his point is? He doesn't have a point. Why? Well, he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy? Do you see where we're going with this? This is the American mindset. They don't know anything. What is this BRICS you're talking about? I don't know anything about that. What is happening? And then they ask me, they get this, what is going to happen with Trump? Do you know what the Trump story is about? What is it really about? What is it about? What is the real, why should you care about whether Trump is indicted? Trump's a jerk and he tweets and okay, fine. Why does this matter? What is this really about? Why would it matter for somebody to do this? Are they breaking any laws? What did Trump do? Is Trump going to go to prison? Could Trump go to prison? Yes. Somebody somewhere from this lofty perch of the shadow government, they are saying, whatever you have to do, push this to the limit. That sounds like the Eagles. Push it. Put him in prison. Put him in jail. Do whatever you have to do. Teach him a lesson. Let's see where we go with this. I want everything upside down. Because the people who are running the show care nothing about us. We're just a kind of a cog in the wheel. And it's not about, again, it's not so much about misinformation and all that. That's not it. It's the fact that America doesn't care. If I gave you the real information, you wouldn't care anyway. If I said, okay, for 1 week, do me a favor. For 1 week, what do you think would happen if I said, okay, tomorrow night on this show or this platform, we're going to tell you exactly what happened regarding Kennedy's assassination? How many people do you think would watch? How many people would care? Imagine if I said, we're going to open up we're to give you the names, the shooters, the cover-ups, where they were, how they did it, who okayed it, how many shots were fired, the caliber, who was in on it, who covered it up. We're going to give you the whole story. How many people do you think would care about it? None. When I say none, in proportion, they wouldn't have any. You would not believe how few people would care about it. And that is something that is worth more. It's this indifference. For me to instill indifference in people is what it's all about. I don't want people to care. The two biggest issues right now that are happening are BRICS and BRICS and artificial intelligence. Bigger than anything in the world. Bigger than anything in the world. You know what happens if the world resets? If all of a sudden we're now going against, we're going against Russia and say, hey, wait a minute, hold it. And NATO says, you know what? You know what, guys? NATO says, we're not too sure about this NATO thing yet. Well, we were in NATO when you told us you were, that it was a unipolar world, that the United States was basically in charge of everything, and it was because NATO was the UN. Remember, the thing that focused NATO was Russia. Remember, no Russia, no NATO. If Russia doesn't exist, not the Soviet Union, people still say the Soviet Union. If Russia doesn't exist, there's no NATO. There's no need for NATO. What do you need NATO for? The Warsaw Pact's over. So you've got to continuously keep fueling this monster. And one of the best ways to keep fueling the monster is to make the monster be put in a position where the monster is going to say, if you keep sticking me in the eye with that stick, I'm going to fight back. Good. Because that will fortify the need for NATO and foment and enforce a whole... Anyway, all right. Do you see what is happening? That controls everything. If all of a sudden NATO were to say, this NATO is causing us more, but what are we exactly worried about? Who is going to attack Belarus or Finland or what? What are we talking about? Why are we doing this? You know what happens if that happens? What if the world all of a sudden says, why are you doing this to Russia? How do we benefit from this? That changes everything. You know what happens if they start trading oil not in the dollar anymore? The petrodollar is replaced by a currency you can't even pronounce. This is enormous. This is what Schwab says, the Great Reset. Everything else can be changed here domestically. That can't be. What I just said right now would put to sleep most people showing up at a CPAC meeting, Fox News crew, Newsmax audience. They will be asleep. They won't know what you're talking about. They won't know what you're... I don't know. Because even they're the ones. Because, anyway. So what I'm trying to say is, and this is the most important, something is happening that nobody thought about. Trump has been buoyed by something that he never thought, I don't even think he thought was possible. And I sure as hell know the shadow government didn't think was possible. And that is the fact of your absolute fealty, your support of him, not just him as much as the issue of an ex-president not only being going through this, but when you have Biden and his son and Shokin basically telling you this is what happened. I promise you, nothing is going to happen to Biden. Nothing is going to happen to Hunter. There will be no indictments. Biden is going to step away prior to the elections. Carmelita will go somewhere. Maybe she'll be an ambassador. Maybe she'll be the president of a university. Maybe she'll be, I don't know. She doesn't care one way or the other. It'll be Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom will come out of nowhere. Gretchen Whitmer, believe it or not, people are saying, is a perfect proponent and advocate of this particular way of thinking. This will come about. They will position themselves. Gavin Newsom will start saying things you won't recognize him. We have to do something about crime. Crime. What about California? We've got to do, and he's going to say everything, and you're not going to be able to say, and of course Fox News will say, well, this is a hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, nobody knows it. They're going to say, this guy makes a lot of sense. He's going to say whatever you want to hear. He's going to come out. He's not going to be shuffling. He's going to be young. He's going to have the pomade in his hair and the suit and the whole bit. And we're going to have this. Now, that's going to be whittled away by Cornel West and the Green Party, which, by the way, is more formidable than anything you can imagine. Bobby Kennedy, who I think is still in the offing. By the way, Bobby Kennedy, wait until Bobby Kennedy gets his. Two things are going to happen. He needs a celebrity. Clapton, Woody Harrelson, when they give you the okay, you've got Santana now coming out against trans, Alice Cooper. You have this weird, not weird, but this movement in terms of country music to reestablish and to bolster traditional values, family. Just watch what happens. This is fascinating. Meanwhile, in something that nobody's ever understood, Trump's numbers are through the roof, and he's under 4 indictments. The shadow government who sponsored this, you think this DA Fannie in Georgia knows about this? They picked her. She'll do. She has not a clue. I don't know what they promised her. I don't know but she is the mugshots. The mugshots backfired. People thought the mugshot somehow, when people saw the mugshot of Trump, that they thought somehow maybe, I don't understand what's going on. It makes it seem, it reminds us of how horrible this is. It reminds us of what a banana republic we look like. But I'm going to say this again. Unless you, on your own, scour the internet, move away from Breitbart, Fox News, whoever it is. By the way, Alex Jones, yes, but the references, the InfoWars stories are a fantastic source because they cite other people saying certain things. Where did I hear about this notion of the AMA actually recommending uterus transplants? He did it first. You have to know where to look. Daily Mail's terrific. But you're going to have to understand and go elsewhere. You've got to go to foreign press. You've got to go to also got to get a little bit of a balance. National Review gives you the paleoconservative take. You're looking at this kind of a pro-Trump la-la land world. That's not really, that's okay. You also have to recognize the fact that your Republican Party is a waste of time. What is this Ronna McDaniel doing? Why didn't, what is her name? Jeffries, Rahim, or whatever? No. I'm thinking of me. What is her name? Anyway, Larry Elder was kept out of the debate. What's going on with this stuff? They're also throwing you off with this Vic Ramaswamy. This is no. I'm going to say it one more time. This is on your own. You are on your own. You are on your own. Raul says Trump owned the mugshot. He did. And I don't know if he has any watch somebody say that he doesn't have an intellectual property right to it. Watch Trump try to put out mugshots. A mug shot on the mug. Watch them do this. Because whatever they do to him, he just inverses the rules. In any event, dear friends, that's it. Now, we're not going to be doing tonight. Mrs. Ellen and I have a prior engagement this evening, so this is going to be our sole live foray. Let me say something first and foremost. You were so wonderful last night, so terrific. Yesterday, you were so kind to me. Thank you so very much. It means so much to me. I shan't forget that. And please, as soon as we get done, I want you to go to preparewithlionel.com, see what they have. Just look at what's available. If you've never seen prepared food, look at what it's done. Look at what is available and how very smart people have thought of things you never would have thought about. In the event of not necessarily World War III, but just bad weather, power shortages, strikes, whatever it is. Preparewithlionel.com. And also, as I said before, remember, follow Lynn's Warriors. Go to Twitter at Lynn's Warriors and YouTube at Lynn's Warriors right there. All right, dear friends. All right. Good. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Have a great and a glorious day. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. And until then, remember these words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Ta-ta.